The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOFWAR5 to get a discount on your next order. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Art of War stream match, or not stream match, but a stream in general. I've been playing too many games, Jack.
I know.
I've been playing way too many games. I'm too hyped about the games. But today we're going to be talking about what the best army heading into the new meta is. And it's up for debate. It is up for debate.
We have narrowed the search down to two factions that we feel like are in the best position going into this new meta. And they may or may not surprise you.
They may or may not. And we're going to kind of give the reasons, give our analysis, and then see what you think in the chat. As always, with Thursday live streams, if you do have any questions for us, even if they're not related to this particular topic, feel free to super chat, and we will be answering them throughout the stream. And we really appreciate that support. But if you are joining us, please do give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and tell your friends about it. That will really help us grow as a channel. In addition, leave a comment below letting us know what you think the best army is in the game. Maybe you have a different take, and we'd love to hear it. This is an opinion piece, so we're just offering our opinions. It is up for debate.
Yeah, my guess is there's going to be a lot of different opinions that people have. People think all kinds of things, and the meta is very close right now. So you can...
Closer than ever before.
Absolutely. You can do well with any army in the game, pretty much. I think I've seen every army win.
Yeah. The first weekend of the new patch, Knights had like 2 wins. And that's one of our lower ranked armies, but
I think it was the lowest.
I think it was the lowest.
I think it was the lowest, and that's,
But you can still win with it.
Yeah.
You can still win with it. Not the easiest, but you definitely can. In addition, if you want to see more content from us, more videos, more high level analysis, more tactics videos, check out the War Room, thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and in addition, you're going to get access to 3 battle reports every single week. Yesterday we had an awesome one, Sisters versus Tau, but today, I believe, is releasing the new Blood Angels Angelic Host versus Chaos Knights. That's going to be a sick matchup, and we're going to have plenty more. In addition, there's analysis videos after each game, kind of giving our thoughts on how the game went, key moments, and looking at where we're going to take the list after that. In addition, right now, with the new balanced data slate, there is State of the Factions for every single army in the game in the War Room coming out over the next week or two. So we already have a bunch of them out there. The rest will be coming over the next week and a half or so. So if you're looking for new ideas, looking for how to kind of, change your list based on the new meta, well, we got your ideas for you. So come on over, check it out, and join our awesome community. Thank you so much. All right, we got a couple super chats here before we dive in already. We got Mr. Redrum, who says, here to see where the awesomeness of Siegs and Jax ranks in the meta. Well, it's obviously S tier. That goes without saying.
Of course.
But is it S+?
I mean, I think there's definitely an argument there.
There's an argument.
There's definitely an argument.
Chat, you tell us.
I'm here to have it.
Then we have Mr. Ryan G. Thanks so much for the $5 super chat. It's obviously buggy tied. Why deal damage to your opponent when you can have a vehicle called a Boomdaka Snazwagon?
Yeah, because the Boomdaka Snazwagon is definitely not doing any damage to anyone.
I honestly can't remember the last time I saw any of the buggies on the table. It's been a while.
They're not good.
It's been a while. They have awesome names though.
The Rocket Shark Squig buggy used to be broken, and now
no.
Megatrack Scrapjet.
That one was very good.
That one was very good. The Boomdaka Snazwagon is less so.
What's the kind of like speed racer car?
Shock Jump Dragster.
Yeah, the Dragster.
Yeah. My joke about all those is it's the Key and Peele East-West Bowl sketch. I'm a Boomdaka Snazwagon from Penn State,
All right, well, thank you so much for those super chats. Let's go ahead and head into... Oh, yeah.
It's, number one is Drukhari, right? Obviously, like, Quambok's got it, so...
Oh, it's definitely Drukhari.
It's absolutely
We're actually going to just talk about Drukhari for the rest of the show. First one up is the Astra Militarum. So this is an army that has received increasing buffs over the last year or so.
Yes.
They got some nice buffs to how orders work, making units, coming in from reserve or getting out of transports more flexible. In addition, they got a big buff to their detachment rule, Born Soldiers, where now they have, depending on their keyword, regiment, squadron, you get lethal hits versus particular targets all the time.
Yeah, so your vehicles get lethal hits against monsters and vehicles, and your infantry get lethal hits against, I think it's just non-monsters and vehicles.
I believe so.
Yeah. That's a pretty damn good
really
rule,
good.
and it really benefits the Leman Russes. Now, you might look at this and go, hey, wait a minute. Weren't Bulgrin in every list, and Bulgrin went
18.
up a bunch of points? And they did, and they were. But Bulgrin kind of died for Guard's sins, and nobody else in Guard really got hit. The tank commanders gained squadron, which is massive.
Huge.
It's actually massive. And they did go up in points a little bit, but probably not enough. Now they can order themselves. Now they can get benefits from, I mean, first off, they get the lethal hits, which they did not have before. So they can order themselves and they have lethal hits. So if you think about it, they're basically just a ballistic skill 3 Leman Russ with lethal hits. Would you take that for plus 20 points or
That shoots on
15
death.
points or whatever? Yeah. Yeah. On a 2-up. I have personally never seen my tank shoot on death
I've
when I
seen
played it.
And it's anything, too.
Yeah. No, it just shoots at whatever. Now, if it's in combat, it doesn't get to, but generally that tank is now cracked, I think would be the best way to describe it. And there's another new addition to the army, Seeks. Which one would that be?
Yeah, so there's some Aquilon Tempestus Scions is what they're called. What are they?
Aquilon. I think it's just like Aquilon Scions or something. Tempestus Aquilons. I think that's probably what it is.
It's something like that. They've come out in the brand new, I think, Hivestorm Kill Team box alongside the Vespid, and then they got some 40k rules. And with that, Guard got one of the very few units in the game that have a datasheet rule that is, I come in from reserve 3.1 away. And of course, they have Deep Strike, which means there is an almost infinite amount of shenanigans that you can do. The instant one that people went to was, hey, you can block charges. You can say, oh, Jack, you're going with your Exalted 8 bound. You want to hit these guard tanks. And all of a sudden, Jack, you got some nice charges, like 6s, 7s, pretty easy.
5s, 4s.
You're gonna be fine. All of a sudden, 10 dudes 3.1 away do a nice big U-shape on you and say, oh, you don't have the fly keyword. Cool, I'm taking your sins. I'm saving these tanks.
Yeah, so that's a fundamentally broken mechanic. I'm like, I don't say that like too
This is
often.
with Rapid Ingress.
I think Aquilons with Rapid Ingress are a fundamentally broken mechanic. They get to drop 3.1 inches away from you at the end of your movement phase. So what that means is, as a melee army, unless you're going for a 3-inch charge, they can just Rapid Ingress, block your charge, block your turn, go back into reserves for 2 CP, do it again the following turn, and just blast you, because now you can't make any charges. Fundamentally a broken mechanic. What you need to do as a melee army is you need to have some amount of shooting, and you need to point it at any possible place the Aquilons might show up to block your charges.
It's a lot of places.
And then you have to have the firepower to kill 10 dudes, which not the easiest thing to like reliably do. You swing under with like your 1 unit of flash gets. Well, guess what? You just like your turn didn't do anything. And that's really, really, really stupid. In addition, they are incredibly good at taking backfields away, and they will do reliable damage even to things that you think that they won't. They have grenades, and they don't need to spend a CP to 3.1 away. So they'll drop in your backfield. Often multiple units will drop in your backfield. They get a free shot with a flamer that's D6 plus 3 shots immediately, which they also get to do when they wrap it in, which is stupid, but that's a whole nother topic. They get to drop in. If they drop 2 in your backfield, you get hit by 2 of those super flamers. Then they throw a grenade. Then they shoot you again. And that will kill like 5 Marines basically like every time or close to it. And so it'll kill things that you don't think that it will, because grenades just means that even if they're tough, no, they're not.
Not anymore.
So yes, Aquilons are fundamentally a broken unit, and I don't say that lightly. Like, Aquilons are busted.
That's not even all that they do. Is so you have, remember Inceptors, Primaris Inceptors, the Space
Yes.
Marine ones. If you're not covering every objective, let's say you don't want to touch the center, right? You want to trade any resources. Okay, well, 3.1 away, Rapid Ingress. I'm going to get a 15 on primary. Cool.
Yep.
Done.
And
do that
they have 4 units of these because one of them will go back into reserves for 2 CP
when it dies.
when it dies. And yeah, no, absolutely. And what army do you not want to stand clean in the open against? Guard. So here's what Richard is saying, boiled down. If you
Don't
leave objectives alone, they will, like, let's say, for example, you don't want to just randomly get shot by like 3 tank commanders, and Dorn or some nonsense, right? A guard army. Let's say you don't want to do that. You hide behind walls. You're ready. If your opponent steps out, you're like, I will hit you. Well, what actually ends up happening is at the end of your movement phase, they just rapid ingress onto the center objective because you're not exposing your army to just get shot. So they just rapid ingress onto the center objective, even if you're really close to the objective, and just take it away. And then they'll score it, and then they'll just run the unit backwards or forwards. Well, they have options.
They'll go forwards, move, block you, save the resource, doesn't matter. If you're a reserve-heavy army, guess what? If you put too much into reserve, turn 2, they could come down with multiple of these units and just screen out the whole table.
Yep, it's not even that hard.
It's not that hard.
We watched it happen to you, and there was not a single thing you could have done about it.
If you don't have 12-inch no-go zones, like only a couple armies do, it's a bad time.
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Like literally they just drop 30 Aquilons on the same turn and just say you can't arrive from reserves.
Also, you have no cheap units left.
Yeah, and also all of your nonsense is gone, which means you have to, like, there's a loss condition where you lose all your cheap stuff. That just is oftentimes a loss condition where, like, you lose all of your 10-man squads of random nonsense dudes. Because then you can't play the game properly. You either have to take your real units and do, like, actions on objectives with them, or, or you just don't score points. And that's a loss condition. It's one guard can just force on you real easy. We're of the opinion, we've talked, that if you're playing Space Marines, you need Infiltrators, period, in this meta.
At least one, if not even go to the 2 and just say, hey, none of this.
Stop it.
Don't want it. Because then you can at least protect the center objective from those rapid plays without trading anything.
If they could only take 1 squad of Aquilons, I think it would be
still
broken.
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be in your movement phase, the Deep Strike 3.1 away, because that would deny the Rapid Ingress 3 away, which, again, fundamentally broken mechanic, just like blocking all the charges after your opponent's already moved. But if they did that and you were allowed to take, like, 1, I think they'd be fine at 90. As is, they are
not fine at 90.
They are not fine at 90. They are not fine. The Rapid Ingress plays are pretty brutal, and the fact that all guard needed was to be able to take backfields away. They were terrible at it. It was like their one weakness.
Yep.
They went forward as a block.
They couldn't attack like staging units effectively.
They couldn't attack staging units. They couldn't, if you came forward to meet them, they couldn't deal with your home objective, right? You just got to leave like nonsense back there. As it is, Aquilons will just come down, take your home objective off you, and you have to like turn around while you're getting shot by a guard army. Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not good. Let me put it this way. I actually think Eldar is not in a bad place right now, generally. I was considering taking it to WCW coming up in a little less than a month. I am not taking Eldar literally just because of Aquilons. Right? Like, Aquilons just removed it from contention for me. Eldar have no answer to them, and that is what it is.
There are multiple armies that just don't have a great answer or have to so overinvest in a durable tech piece to sit on their home objective, which sucks.
Dude, for the Tau, I was like strongly considering taking a Ghost Keel and putting it on my home objective.
Yeah.
What world are we living in? Like, units like Heavy Intercessors are good because they'll never die to Aquilons.
Yep.
Which you need. Because like 5 Tactical Marines or 5 like Intercessors will oftentimes die to Aquilons if your opponent drops down like 2 and throws a grenade. And that's worth it a lot of the time. Because like, what are you going to turn around?
Yeah. Instead of putting a Soul Locust back there or something for Necrons, I want to put like a Reanimator. 4 up Pain. It's got a bunch of wounds. It's high toughness compared to them. Something where I really want that to be interacting with the middle of the table, but I have to keep it pinned back there now.
Yeah.
This isn't stopping them from getting behind enemy lines, establish locus, all that stuff for extra points.
Yeah, like, Aquilons aren't broken in the way that, like, the Wraith Knight Dev Wounds combo at the start of the edition was broken. That's a very obviously broken unit. That unit will just shoot you from wherever and table you, and there's nothing you can do about it. That is obviously broken. Aquilons are broken in a different way, where they don't look broken unless you know what you're looking for. And then you're like, oh my God, how do I beat that? Like, how do I beat a guard army that will just take my home objective off me like every time? Kill every staging unit I have. Like, kill not every staging unit, but every unit that's worth less than 100 points will just die on the drop.
It's basically the ultimate toolkit in one unit. Instead of having, it's basically a unit that has 3 strong rolls that you would want in a list, but all taped into one unit.
Yeah, and also the blocking charges thing is I cannot emphasize enough, actually just really broken.
There's not too many armies that just have lots of fly units that are trying to charge. There's very few. Like Blood Angels are one of the few armies that does do that.
Even if they had that, you can just like wrap your own unit and just you can't land a base. Sorry. Yeah. Inceptors were really good at 110 with that rule. They were really, really good at 110. They didn't have the amounts of OC or squad size to block charges in that way. Theoretically, you could, but like, are you going to do that with like your 220 point unit of 6 dudes? Like, probably not. But you could. You could steal objectives out from under people. You could rapid ingress onto objectives.
Also, the Inceptors are much thicker bases, so even if you can't screen 3.1 way fully, you can at least force them into specific areas of your backfield. With the little tiny bases that the Accolons are on, they can just string right along in all sorts of nooks and crannies.
Dude, people try to screen out my Grey Knight, 10-man Grey Knight Terminators as though they're like a block this big, and they're not. They're a line this thick. And that's the thing you can do with Accolons, except instead of being a line this thick, they're a line this thick.
Like micro line.
Yeah. So, yeah, we feel like that was a just straight-up design mistake. Everyone makes them sometimes. And
I think otherwise Guard would just be one of the stronger armies in the game. I don't think they would be, like miles above anything. I think they would just be in there with the A-tier armies. This unit has put them into a separate tier, in my opinion.
I think that they need to just remove the 3-inch deep strike and replace with something else. I think
some other cool Scion rule.
Honestly, at 90 points, they're a good unit if you replace it with
let them rapid for free.
Something. Yeah, rapid for free, something like that, right? Like they at 90 points, that's cheap. 3-inch deep striking for it is bananas.
Not to mention the other rules that they have on top. Yeah. I don't know what they were thinking. All right, we got a couple super chats here. We've got Ricky Chow, $2 super chat. Thanks so much. The Zigzagga Tooth Snatcher Auburn. I don't know why Auburn is in there.
Auburn, I think it's the college he's from.
Oh,
Zigzagga Tooth Snatcher.
Is that
did we do that one?
Yeah, we.
Oh no, Gabriel Ruth, get thump a grot swing at MIT.
I don't know what that is.
It's the Key and Peele East West Bowl thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was missing that piece.
Penn State.
I got it. Yeah, you add the school in there. Then we got Ryan G again for Super
Snazwagon, Penn State. Yeah, no. It's the only thing I can hear when I hear that.
One more thing, Guard not releasing as the last codex of the edition and Krieg getting full plastic release is huge for the faction, only up. I mean, being a last faction is just not good. I like what they were thinking in, I think it was 9th edition when they had Arcs of Omen and stuff, is release all the codexes and then whatever the lag time is between the end of the edition and the new one, have like campaigns and add like cool new models and stuff like that. But don't let anybody be, I just got my codex, new edition, don't get to use my rules. That's just silly.
Poorly planned.
Do something fun and let it last a little bit longer just to get people, a full experience of their book.
Yeah.
Like people are waiting for this for many, months, possibly years. All right, we got Max K. Thanks so much for the super chat. Bad player here, but talking from an Eldar perspective, do Battleshock mechanics like the Death Jesters or Serpent Shield become important versus Accolons coming back?
No. Here's why. Theoretically, yes, they will prevent the Accolons coming back if they fail their Battleshock, but that is solving the problem after the fact rather than affirmatively solve it. Like that is fixing the wound after you get stabbed rather than deflecting the blade. If 30 Aquilons are allowed to deep strike 3 inches away on you, I don't think preventing one of them from coming back is going to help you very much.
No.
At that point, sure, that might be nice, but realistically, you probably don't have a DJ anymore, and you probably don't have you don't have your home objective or a lot of your...
you don't have Farseers.
You don't have Farseers anymore. You don't, literally they drop down grenade they flame a Farseer grenade, kills one. They shoot a second Farseer, kill the second. That's one squad of Aquilons. The second squad comes down and toasts the DJ. Third squad comes down, toasts your home objective, and you're like, do I concede now? Or what, can we just go
then
to the
you kill
judge?
The first one and it comes back.
Yeah, because while this is happening, 5 tanks and a bunch of cheap infantry in chimeras and hellhounds and stuff like that is just like rumbling forward. Like, while you're getting your home field and all your characters killed for 270, the army is coming at you. You have to solve that. That's a bigger problem. That's a hard problem to solve as is, but I can't do it while 270 points of Aquilons has just exploded in my lines.
And they're not going to stop.
No, they're not going to stop. Why would they stop? It's 30 dudes. I have to turn around and kill 30 dudes with a 4-up? Yeah. Dude, the amount of brain space that Aquilons have taken from me over the last, like, since they've been released.
They live deep in Jackson.
Oh my God. Like, trying to solve them is ridiculous. What are we doing? So that's how I feel about it anyway.
Nah, I think you're perfectly justified in feeling that way, and I'm glad you're expressing it that way. We've got Neil Adams with a super chat as well. Thank you so much. Jack, what do you think is the optimal amount of melee units plus characters to take in the Liberator Assault Group, which is the new Blood Angels detachment?
I think probably 2 to 3 big heavy hitting units, and then a plethora of little smaller skirmishing units. So in Liberators, I think you want to still take the 3 units of Jump Pack Intercessors. I really like Reavers in Liberators. Their profile for 75 points for 5 is like actually really good in Liberators. On the charge, it's 25 attacks with precision. If you need that, why not? At 601, and then they battle shock people, and they're a -1 leadership aura, which, by the way, does stack with Dante's battle shock aura at -1 leadership. So now Dante is battle shocking everyone within 6 inches at -2, and it also stacks with Mephiston's no fallback aura because it's -1 to leadership and battle shock tests. So you can then make an aura of fallback at leadership check to fallback at -1. Which is super good. That I, by the way, didn't realize that those comboed. That was our Discord. So if you want in on that, you gotta sign up for the War Room.
Definitely.
But I really like 6 skirmishing units. Like, I really, honestly, my list right now would start with a couple melee units, like 2 to 3 with characters, and like 3 squads of Reavers and 3 squads of JPI, honestly. Because what you want to do is you want to win the skirmishing fight, and then when your opponent is forced to expose themselves, you want a big hammer blow to come in. And that's
proud of you, Jack. Running more trash.
You just gotta bring down the average cost of units in that army. Unfortunately, I think you're finding the same thing.
100%. You just need an amount of stuff. Like having a couple bricks that have to resolve every problem that you face is not good.
Yep. I also want to shout out Mike Pestilens in the chat. It was good meeting you at Champs, and 100% for sure is that when there is a toxic army, Teams is awesome, and Teams is always awesome. Actually,
Teams is awesome regardless.
Yeah, but it was awesome meeting you at Champs, bud.
Then we have Jay here with a super chat, Navigator meta for Imperium. So Navigator is 75 points for allied in, and that model has a 12-inch no-go zone and a cute little battle shock thing. It is pricey, and then the other thing is it's only 1 unit. It's not like an infiltrator team from Space Marines where the whole unit has the effect.
Yeah,
so
that's actually pretty rare.
So yeah, having a whole unit have 12-inch no-go zone, it might only be infiltrators. I don't.
It's the only one I can think of off the top of my head.
Mostly it's single models like the Techno-Archaeologist from AdMech, but the issue there that you run into is because the Aquilons are such small bases, you need to run at least 2 of them to screen most of your backfield area, and at that point, that's a lot of points in your backfield. Now, it might actually be worth it in some Imperial armies. It might totally, or you spend more points on, instead of spending, I'd say, like less than 100 on a backfield holder, you're going to spend, probably like 125, get something relatively durable to sit back there.
Yeah. If you can't prevent them from getting back there, and if you don't have a no-go zone, you're not preventing them from getting back there. They're tiny bases 3 inches away. You're not really doing it. Have something durable enough that not just durable enough that they should survive, durable enough that they should take like almost no damage. Like something with a 2-up armor save and has enough wounds that a grenade will not get you close to death.
Yep.
Like something like Heavy Intercessors is exactly what you want.
Unit.
Toughness 6 too is also a big breakpoint because there's a lot of strength 3 guns in there.
Yeah, I think the Reanimator for Necrons is another thing that could do really well in this role.
Yeah.
So there's a decent amount of unit. You just kind of have to switch your thinking to, I hold my home objective with the bare amount of cheap resources. You got to put something else there.
Yeah, and that means that you're taking some points off the front lines against an army that is rushing you down. It is what it is, It's a problem. It's less of a problem than... a full year ago that we had, for sure. CSM and Eldar were gross.
100%. But yeah, the Navigator is viable, if not pricey. but you probably want to lean towards 2 of them in that case.
Yeah. Something else to point out, as somebody in the chat here has pointed out already, they can just get indirected out. Like, I was considering Darkstrider, but Darkstrider can very easily die to like 2 mortars. Same thing with a Navigator, just like, oh, look at that, you're dead.
I'm sad.
Because it's toughness 3 with like a 5-up or 4-up or something and 3 wounds.
Yeah, you basically have to have some sort of squad for them, and that gets really pricey.
Super pricey.
We have Hawks.
Also, I want to something.
Yeah, go ahead.
An example of something you can learn in the war room. A brief tip from us to you is if you want to prevent Aquilons from stealing your objective, you see the puck at the center of the objective mats. If you surround that, then by definition they can't 3-inch deep strike onto the objective. So make sure you do that.
You don't want them taking the objective at the same time that they're killing your backfield. Let them actually have to take a whole turn to get onto it.
Yep. There are strategy things you can do to help even those matchups up. And if you want to learn that sort of thing, then come join the war room.
Absolutely. Then we have Hawks Nest Speedway. Really appreciate your super chat. Aquilon's cool time to paint my Conquest models. What is Conquest?
I honestly don't know.
Is Conquest a different game, or is it one of the smaller board games from Games Workshop?
I don't know. If people want to elaborate in the chat what Conquest is, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it referred to as Conquest, but it could be a different game format, maybe like Combat Patrol or something.
Could be.
But thanks so much for the super chat. Then Redrum, who's been a member for 21 months of the gold tier, thank you so much for your long and continued support. We do really appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm seeing Redrum like everywhere,
Redrum
all the time. I see him everywhere I go. You know, it's great.
It is.
Yeah.
The community opinion is that Custodies are not bad, especially coming from the stat check guys. It's not bad. It's boring. How would you fit Custodies in one balanced slate? The next one, or do you even fix an army that is only boring?
I disagree with that community opinion. I do think the army is bad, and I will elaborate real quick. I think a lack of tools is not just boring. It is a severe handicap at the highest level. For example, if you play a dynamic army, Richard, an army that has options to move faster or, shoot harder or punch harder or, teleport or do all those things, like you have dynamism. If I play Custodies into that, my odds of winning are very low. Just because I'm working with fewer tools than you are. And I think that the win rates are not going to reflect. I mean, they don't, right? Like the win rates are like, I think 40. It fluctuates in like the 46 to 48 range, I believe. I don't really keep up with them, but that's what I've heard last time.
It's also new meta, so it's like, who knows?
Who knows? When people are less able to use those dynamic tools against you, then you're fine. But when people are able to do it, like I can't win a tournament where there are really good players going with other armies. Like I can't take Custodies to that and do really well. I just won't. Like maybe I can get through one game because I balled out on saves, but like past that, I probably just won't. And that's unfortunate. What I would do is I would do the AdMech redesign. They just need a new book. Realistically, they're not going to get a new book, but like realistically, they just need one that has strats in it that are worthwhile and data sheets that are worthwhile. And they're not. That's not going to happen, right? We know they're not going to go back and do that. So what they need to do is do an AdMech style redesign where they just like add a bunch of data sheet rules to stuff, change things up, change up the strats and the detachment. That's my opinion. What they need to do, because the other part of it is that the army is like rock boring. It's just miserable.
I think they're suffering from a lack of enough different types of data sheets. They basically have a guard, warden, like a Custodies body that's relatively durable and is, tough for what, for a 2-up save, 4-up invuln and everything. That only goes so far. There needs to be something else going on. If they tried to do it with the Sisters of Silence detachments, that's not what people wanted. They need some sort of flexibility where they can have a speed element. They can like Venatari, bikes, and then you have your kind of durable units, and then you have your anti-tank. But to fit all that in just doesn't really work in a list where you're trying to do multiple things. You're going to do them all relatively mediocre, is how I feel about it. It's like you pick 2 of those things, and then you lose the last element. Like you could run the 15 Wardens and the double Caladius and have a solid defensive list, but then your ability to interact with your opponent's half of the board is poor. You can run multiple units of Venatari and maybe some bikes, probably not. but for a speed element, right?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
go
okay.
like interact on their half of the board. But then what are you cutting? You're cutting the Caladius or your ability to hold midfield objectives? Like which?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was like AdMech where there was no anti-tank. You could just flood the board with bodies, or you could flood the board with different types of bodies. Like,
Yeah, you're cutting something that you need. Like, let me put it this way. An army that is even slower is Death Guard. But Death Guard actually has the ability, like, we've been playing with it recently. Death Guard Terminator list is actually not bad right now.
it's quite strong.
It's quite strong. But they have the ability to survive hits in a way that Custodes kind of don't. And then when your opponent tries to interact with you, you have a lot more things, which is important. And when they try to interact with you, suddenly you start making charges and your opponent's life becomes miserable. That's just not kind of the case for Custodes. It's like at range, like in a dynamic game you're losing, and then in a game where you're both grinding on each other, you're even, and that's not fun.
Then we got Mike Pierce here with a super chat. Will 20 Poxwalkers be enough to hold that Death Guard backfield?
Probably 20 is enough. They are toughness 4, so
it's a lot of bodies. Do they heal back?
I think they heal back if they kill stuff in combat. Don't quote me.
Okay, I don't know. Well, I don't know if that's happening.
Yeah, I suspect that 20 is enough to hold your backfield, but like that is 100 points.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. But like it also won't hold your backfield forever, right? Because they will get through 20 eventually. It's just maybe not in one turn.
Yeah. I mean, you could think about just leaving a Rhino back there. That's relatively cheap. The Bloatrone's a bit more expensive, and you kind of want to use them a little more aggressive. But it does have double flamer, right?
The Bloatrone? It can. Yeah, that's one of the loadouts.
So you could just sit one of them with double flamer back there and be like, all right, well.
Yeah, they're almost certainly not going to kill it. They can take a Melt-A-Gun, but that's not really going to do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sort of thing would work. Or just if you take some Plague Burst Crawlers, a Plague Burst Crawler will solve that problem for you. You just give one of them double flamers to keep the Aquilons away.
Then Redrum, thanks so much for your super chat. Typhus said taking away the 4-up Feel No Pain from Wardens would be an initiative to build in different directions. Basically, the army is bound to Wardens and lists. I think it really is the fact that the bikes are not a viable style. I think that's more important. I think they can leave Wardens as they are. Sure, there should be more difference between Guard, Wardens, and such, but I think it's really that the bikes are a huge missing component of the army. They used to be a massive part of Custodes when they were at a really strong point.
Yeah. The units also, like the 4-up Feel No Pain is, speaking as someone who has played a lot of Custodes with the 4-up Feel No Pain, the 4-up Feel No Pain is great, is not up all the time. And when it's not up, the army's actually not that durable. Is like for one phase you can tank. After that phase, you kind of can't anymore, and that's kind of rough. You used to be able to layer it with -1 damage to either use -1 damage in one phase, 4-up Feel No Pain in another, or if your opponent is like overwhelming in one phase, you go -1 damage and 4-up Feel No Pain in the same phase. You just don't have that ability anymore. Is what it is. I really hope that they touch Custodes at the end of the year.
Hopefully they touch every army, frankly.
That'd be nice.
Interspatial, $5 super chat. Thank you so much. Do you think Angelic Host has any play? What would a list approximation look like? Well, great question. The Blood Angel State of the Faction, I believe, is releasing today or tomorrow.
It should release today.
Yep. So
no, yesterday. It should have released already.
All right. So there's going to be a Blood Angel State of the Faction with list ideas, including, I think, an Angelic Host list from Mr. Jack here. And then today in the War Room, there is a game with Angelic Host. We also played it before the points were released with the Codex points. So there are 2 games with it in the War Room. And I think it is competitive. I think it's very hard to play. I also think that out of the 2 games that I played, you need some amount of long-range anti-tank to support the Inceptors. And if you bring that, it has some very good counter-assault tools, and also is just a tricky detachment to play against. It might end up getting hurt a little bit in the meta overall because people are teching for Aquilons, and so now they're teching for Inceptors at the same time. Not directly, but just
by accident.
By accident. So that might end up hurting them in the short term.
The nice part would be is if they tech for it by including stuff that the Aquilons can't kill, but Inceptors can. Yeah,
which, you put a Bloatrone on there, it's dead. Plasma's going, boom. So it does open up a interesting, like larger macro context of the meta. If this unit is forcing all these type of tech changes, are Inceptors still going to be a really valuable thing to build around? And possibly. We've seen the Ultramarines Vanguard already start doing well in the new meta, and Angelic Host does play similar to that.
Yeah. And I am very happy like with where 40K is at. I just have like 3 pain points at this current moment. One is the Custodes Codex. That one never makes me happy. The second one is Aquilons, literally just Aquilons. And the third one is the army we will be talking about shortly. Those are the only pain points I have. But we're talking about all 3 of them today.
Hey, here we go. Jack's therapy session. Army number 2, Sisters. And you might say, oh my God, Sisters got nerfed again. And guess what? They have the most broken rules in the game by far. It's not even close. It is not even close.
Guard has the most broken single rule. Sisters have the most broken set of rules.
And you can keep pointing them up, but guess what? There is a new build in town that was getting popular before the update, Triple Exorcist, and it's by far the best indirect army in the game. It's still not like amazing. It's not going to just table you in the early turns. It could if they roll hot.
It totally can.
But it's going to be inconsistent from turn to turn. But if it does pop off in the early game, you are in such a massive bad spot that it's almost irrecoverable because Sisters are so good at controlling the middle of the table.
It's the worst kind of swingy Triple Exorcist. Because it's not, if I, for example, were to stoop to play that army, which I won't.
I would never want to see you stoop that low, Jack.
I'm not doing that. If I were to play Triple Exorcist, I know going to an event that's like 8 rounds, some of those games, those Exorcists are going to absolutely pop early in the game and just make it a non-game.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't guarantee in the hard games that they will perform for me. But as an opponent, I cannot guarantee that those Exorcists won't just pop off and cripple my army. I can't guarantee that when I play against it.
At DreamHack, we put Brian's Votan into Exorcist Sisters twice, and in both times, he lost a land fort turn 1 with Void Armor, taking 3-up saves.
Yep, because they're flat 6 damage a lot of the time.
That
and
just
they're
happened.
rerolling ones to win.
Twice.
You take the Triumph if you're making a battery with them. And it's just... Why do we need consistently to get powerful indirect that kills, that is good into a wide range of enemy targets, including tough things? Why does that need to keep... We just dealt with Manticores, man. What are we doing?
AP3 indirect, Jack. AP3, baby, with Miracle Dice. And speaking of which, Miracle Dice is the other really big thing. It is... Go watch the game from yesterday. You'll see by turn 3, the amount of Miracle Dice was like 10 different Miracle Dice ready to be used at any point.
Yeah.
It's actually insane, the Miracle Dice generation. It needs to be limited. It just needs to be.
It has to be. I kind of thought the Triumph would start exiting lists and that would remove 5/6s from their pool. And like the Triumph just hasn't been exiting lists as far as I can see. Like the Triumph has just stayed in. Up like 60 points.
Guaranteed 6s be strong, Jack.
Guaranteed 6s and 2 very good auras and also a good stat line. Yeah, that's staying in for sure. Scott, I will judge you if you take Triple Exorcist, but that's okay. I judge a lot of people.
Yeah. Now Games Workshop has said in that article with the update that they'll be looking at Miracle Dice later. That is music to my ears. You remember when Eldar had a consistent amount of fate, like a lot of fate dice?
Yes.
Just absolutely insane. Miracle Dice are very similar and absolutely cranked.
Oh, I remember when you could just snort a line of Miracle Dice, and just...
The Fate Dice?
Sorry, Fate Dice. I use them interchangeably.
Yeah,
I played Eldar and I call them Miracle Dice in Eldar. I remember when the Wraith Guard would just go and just power up and start just draining shots across the board in one phase. I played a game into Nick when you could use unlimited amounts of Miracle Dice because of like a character or whatever. And I literally made him use like 12 in one activation. I didn't kill like an infantry model. It's so annoying. Dude. And it kind of feels like that. You can't use a million all at once, but every single activation from turn 3 on, it just comes stapled with a Miracle.
Here's my random multi-melta. Boom, you failed 1 save. Okay, 8 damage on this one. All right, here's my second activation. All right, didn't do anything. Here's the next one. Oh, you failed 1 more save. Boom, 8 more damage. You're dead. It's like, okay.
Yeah, and it
feels awesome.
It's not like the army needs Miracle Dice. Their rules are just generally
They have
good.
some of the best attachments in the entire game.
Yeah, their rules are just solid. If you took Miracle Dice away, they wouldn't be one of, if not the best army in the game. They wouldn't be.
They probably need points drops at that point.
They would probably need some points drops, but they would probably land middle of the pack, dude. Their output is ridiculous.
They'd still be better than Votan, I think. They'd be above that area.
Yeah.
So the army is crazy. Now, we got a couple more super chats before we decide which of these two is actually our number one. Because it's both of the. These are the two that stand above the game. I
want to point out, by the way, that Sisters List lost like 180 points and looked the same. I don't understand it. Quentin's List didn't change, and it's now still legal.
Well, Jack, here's the thing: is if you decrease a unit, a core unit like Battle Sisters, and you increase the unit that was being taken instead of them, well, if you just trade the Dominions for the Battle Sisters, you actually save a decent amount of points.
Yeah, like Quentin's List drops the Seraphim Bomb he wasn't super happy with and was quite expensive, trades a couple Dominions out for Battle Sisters, adds Celestine, and is 2,000 points. Still has Triumph, still has the Volgons, still has triple Cascade and triple Immolator and units to go in them, units to hold the backfield, and Celestine to do your skirmish. The list fundamentally, he's not 100% sure his list didn't get better by swapping out the unit for Celestine, because the unit was disappointing him.
He could trade Celestine and the Volgon unit for 3 Exorcists too, and just still have a really strong list. Like
that list isn't even like hard to play is the problem.
No.
You just point at my biggest, scariest thing, throw 3 Exorcists at it, and anytime a damage roll comes up, you're like 6. Like, what else do you have to do here?
All right, we got WESWTF. Thanks so much for your super chat. 3 Crutox Riders, 90 points. T6, 5 wounds to screen Accolons. Could work. Could definitely work.
Yeah.
That is a lot of wounds. You can get relatively cheap Crute bodies for a decent amount. Sticking the objective with the basic Crute and having 10 bodies back there is also pretty solid as well.
Yeah, it gives you some time to work on it. Like, they'll drop down, they'll kill your Crute. That's not really hard for them. But they can't take the objective away if you ring the puck, like I was talking about earlier. And you have time to go back, kill the Aquilons, and try and hold on to your home objective. It is not a problem the turn Aquilons drop if you can stick to your home. Yeah. It is a problem the turn after. And that I can deal with that.
Yeah, if you're playing the Retaliation Contra, you could also spend for the 3 Flamer suits and just put them back there. Like, oh, do you want to go over here?
Dude, that's true. I have in
Overwatch, and then you could use them later for other things.
In the Ret Cadre list that I've been working with, I have an extra Star Scythe unit I could take, right? I'm only taking 2.
Yeah, you could just be like, oh, 3 Flamer suits back here. Do you want to get close to me?
You want to drop down? how are we feeling today, bud?
Then we have Bonsai Kitty Gaming. Thanks so much for the $2 super chat. All indirect should go to 5+ only. It really shouldn't be 8. If it was AP2 and not AP3, that would be a big difference.
I understand that indirect has been a part of the game since forever. I want you to just close your eyes.
It's just not
everyone
good for
at home.
Just
close your eyes and just imagine a world if you just say that indirect fire is not a keyword that exists. Yes, it wouldn't make very much sense that artillery, doesn't shoot indirect. But like artillery shooting at these close ranges doesn't also make sense. Like, yes, it wouldn't make sense. But just imagine the game we could have if indirect fire wasn't a rule. Just imagine that. Just think about it. Live in that world in your head a little bit. It's a nice world.
It really is a beautiful dream.
Yeah.
Gabriel Roth, thanks so much for the $5 super chat. The GT I'm going to Saturday has one of your guys in it, Mike Butler. That is, he usually plays Eldar.
He does.
He's one of Nick's very good longtime friends.
He has apparently gone off the reservation.
And he's running triple Exorcists, which is downright disappointing, Mike. Come on. We expected more. And then y'all need to come collect your
triple Exorcist. What the heck?
People are. It's a very strong archetype. And if it pops off early, you are just cooked. It's terrible.
Now, there are ways to try and mitigate it. I think you can make a Sisters build that, like, if you have double Miracle Dice, Exorcists probably aren't going to do very much into you because you
or whatever you have, that Tech Marine type things, or they heal back from like reanimation or such. That could be pretty useful. There's things you could do to make your list better into these. As we were saying about making your list better into Accolons, this is kind of when those units are just so strong and so prevalent, you do just naturally tech your list overly for those 2 particular things.
The problem that Nick has been having, and this is a legitimate thing, is that if he takes 3 Exorcists, his opponent just sprints at him. Because, like, what are they going to do? Hang back and get shredded by Exorcists over 5 turns? No.
That's why I think you take the Volgons. So it's like, oh, you want to get aggressive into me? Well, you're dead. Boom.
But yeah, he's been having people sprint at him, and he's not been feeling comfortable about that. Like, you can do that plan. It's not consistent, but it might be your best shot. Also, you can take things that don't really die to Exorcist particularly well, or that you don't care about, like AdMech, I think, is fine with triple exorcist. Like they don't love it. Like nobody loves
Yeah,
it.
but at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of invulns all over the place, and you can 5 Funa Pain. You can make units tanky. You can also have 18-inch Lone Up on units you really want to keep alive.
Yeah.
But they'll pick off your transports, which is annoying.
That is super aggravating, some might say. If you can get to toughness 10 or 11, it really helps. Or might have some kind of -1 to wound. Like that Death Guard army I was talking about that has like 18 Death Shrouds and Mortarion. I've been thinking about that list a lot.
T6
actually.
-1 to wound is a strong thing.
Yeah, that is going to lose like a guy or two to Exorcist every turn. Hit on 4s, wound on 4s, 4-up save, into D6 damage, into 3 wounds. That's not going to do very much at all. And you have, to do that, you have like 510 points sitting in your backfield doing nothing, right? They can shoot direct, which is the most obnoxious part.
They're really good direct.
Yeah, they hit on 3s. They get +1 to hit if you see you directly. Like, and they also have a Hunter Killer. Like,
So that's Sisters. So, which of the two are you thinking? Which do you lean towards personally?
I think it's Sisters. If you had to say, if you held a gun to my head, and actually, if you held an Exorcist to my head,
if I shot indirect at your skull,
I would say Sisters. I think they're stronger across the board, and they do a thing that is better, which is go fast, shoot really hard. They have other builds too, but I still think Bringers is probably the best way. But there are really good archetypes in the other detachments.
Army of Faith, Hallowed Martyrs.
They go fast. They hit really hard. The army ramps up because the Miracle Dice Fire Hose just starts like on turn 2, and it just gets harder and harder as the game goes on. Suddenly, every multi-melted wound that goes through is 8 damage. Like it's just it's rough. Guard are a very close second though. What's your take?
I think that Guard are actually better. I think they're better in the hands of a top player. I think in terms of the 4-1 or your regular kind of 32-person GT winner, Sisters will end up being stronger. But I think in the hands of the top players, Guard is going to be like the perfect army to play because it's the perfect toolkit for every situation. That's kind of how I lean. I think that's the difference, but they're both broken in different ways.
Yeah, having played Guard a little bit, having a little dalliance with Guard for a team event that we went to, I can tell you that Guard have the best plan A in the game, like just the best plan A in the game, but they don't really have a plan B. Once you start falling behind, if your opponent kills a couple extra tanks, then they should, and they're playing a top army and they are also good, then you're kind of just out of options. But you can't guarantee you're going to be able to do that as the Guard opposition, and you can't guarantee that you won't, have to struggle bus the entire game.
Yeah.
Like, you just can't. You can't guarantee that. If you take away Aquilons or you make Aquilons do something else, I think Guard drops substantially, actually, because it is so much harder to deal with the Guard army crunching down at you when you also have to defend your backfield and all your, solo characters and whatnot. So I think that one's pretty easy. Sisters is like, it's like friggin' whack-a-mole over there.
It really is Miracle Dice. Like, their detachments are amazing, their data sheets are amazing, but the Miracle Dice allows them to get any plays that they want.
Yeah.
That is obnoxious.
Yeah. It's
you're not playing 40K, you're playing your own game. It really is. It really feels like that.
Yeah, it feels like also if you run into a Sisters player that just rolls nothing but 5s and 6s on Miracle Dice, which I've experienced games of, it's tough, man. It's tough. That 6-up invul on all their tanks suddenly is like, nope.
I hate it.
No.
Hate it.
Nope.
And then we've got a couple more super chats here. WESWTF, thanks so much for the $10 super chat. If we get rid of indirect, can we get rid of shoot on death, shoot back? Waiting for someone to go through 6 weapons on my turn is annoying.
Sure. You know what? If we get rid of indirect, I'm willing to make concessions to whoever can deliver me indirect's head.
We'll make it work. It's a negotiation.
God, it's indirect weapons have always been miserable.
Always. It just doesn't fit into a war game.
No.
Especially because not everybody has access to it. Like, it's just random if your army has awesome indirect or not.
Mortars and stuff like that.
Like, the Tau indirect is completely useless. It's just like barely chips wounds off.
Mortars, things that kill like 4 Kroot Hounds or like a squad of 5 like idiots with a 5-up save, that's fine. It can get out of hand, but it's generally fine. But it's things like Manticores and Exorcists that kill real targets out of line of sight with no interaction on your part It's consistently just been really obnoxious.
Do not like.
No, do not like.
Interspatial, thanks so much for joining the War Room Bronze. Really appreciate your support. Make sure that you log into your Discord and head over to the Connections tab in User Settings. Click that YouTube icon and sync your account so you get access to our awesome international Discord community. And then Aaron, easily $5 super chat. You guys rock. If a unit charges, piles in, kills the unit with the character attacks, can you consolidate and have the bodyguard get their attacks?
So it seems like the question is, if you charge, and let's say you're a 5-man squad of assault intercessors with a captain. You charge in, you resolve the captain's attacks first, you kill the unit. Can you also swing with you kill, like, your character swings and kills the unit. Can you
have other models swing elsewhere?
Models swing elsewhere. You declare all your attacks at the same time. So whatever anyone in that unit would legally have been able to attack, they all happen at the same time. So you don't lose your attacks unless, like, you don't get to then allocate them elsewhere, but you do get to keep resolving them because you have to declare all of your attacks at the same time.
So you would have to so you make the charge move, you get within engage range. With your pile-in move, which is before you start your swings, you can pile in, engage this second unit with some amount of your bodyguards. You can then, when you declare attacks, put the amount of bodyguards into the secondary unit that you didn't originally charge, and then the rest of them, like the character here, goes into the unit that you originally charged, and then you could split attacks that way. But you'd have to be able to do it on the pile-in or on the charge move if you declared them both.
Yeah.
So that's how you'd be able to do it. You don't get to retroactively like first swing the character, then decide, hey, these attacks go here.
Everything has to be declared at the same time.
Yep. And that looks like that's the end of the super chat. So hope everybody enjoyed this little analysis. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. If you disagree with us, please do let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback. If you think there's another army that's really strong and possibly on the same level as these two, definitely let us know. We'd love to hear it. Oh, here's one more super chat before I close out. Sloppity Biles Hyper, thanks so much for your super chat. Best army is the friends we made along the way. 40K friends, baby.
Hell yeah. Woo, baby.
Hell yeah. So thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you to everybody for being a 40K friend in the chat. We really appreciate it. And if you're looking for more content from us, check out the War Room. Like we mentioned, there's a lot of awesome stuff coming out. And those 3 battle reports every week. We got Blood Angels versus Chaos Knights coming out today. We had Sisters versus Tau yesterday. And we're going to have many more great matchups coming up very soon. In addition, there's a State of the Faction for every single army coming out. Several of them have been released this week, and more will be coming next week. So if you're looking for new list ideas, looking for kind of what to think about your army in this new meta, well, head over to the War Room at thewarroom.vhx.tv. There's a 3-day free trial, and you'll also get access to our awesome international Discord community. So thank you so much. Thank you to Mr. Jack for hanging out with me.
Thank you,
and thank you all for hanging out with us. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you all next time for more content. So long for now.
Bye-bye. There you go.